This is the Work at Home Heroes podcast. Your host, Caitlin Pyle, digs deep with people from all over the world who make money from home. Get ready to wake up to a world of possibility for freedom, flexibility, and a life you'll love.
Well, everybody, welcome to the Work at Home Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Pyle, and I'm here with Adrienne Luedeking. Hi, Adrienne. How are you?
Hi, Caitlin. Glad to be here.
So Adrienne moved to Los Angeles. I'm just going to give you a little background to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. She had seen how her friends had been limited by their survival jobs, waiting tables, things like that. So she launched an online business, proofreading for court reporters, in order to support herself. And I'll give you 3 guesses on from whom she learned that skill. And after she succeeded, she discovered a passion for entrepreneurship and started a new business, a blog called Fruitfully Alive, where she helps millennials create their dream life. And she's been working from home for 3 years now, just like me. And Adrienne, you've been with me since the beginning. Isn't that right?
Yes, I have.
So I'm very, very proud to feature you on the show. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Tell us a little bit more about your blog, what you do, maybe what your life looked like before you and I crossed paths.
Yeah, so I was living in Los Angeles, doing a lot of theater, film work. I was producing, acting, directing. I was even doing some special effects makeup, which was really fun. But, I was anxious about not being able to make a full-time income because, you're new to the industry, you're not making a lot. So I was always anxious about that. So I decided to start looking at other alternatives of making money and something hopefully flexible that I could do from home. And that's when I discovered the proofreading course.
Very, very cool. So tell me a little bit more about your blog now.
So Fruitfully Alive, with that blog, I help millennials who are in a similar place as I am, maybe just graduated college, feel like they majored in the wrong thing, don't really know what their passion is, don't know what they want to do, or they have a job that doesn't make them happy. So with the blog, I create content for them to help them. And I also coach them one-on-one or in groups virtually, where I help them discover their passion and articulate what their dream job would be.
Was there a moment when you were working out in Hollywood where you felt like, oh my gosh, this is no more, I can't do this anymore? You don't like the survival aspect of it. You didn't like somebody else controlling your income. Did you get angry about it all? What kind of emotions did you experience before you decided to make this leap?
There was definitely a moment where a friend of mine, she was an actress. She was waiting tables and she told me one time that she'd gotten a really big audition and that she didn't think she was going to be able to go because she had to work to pay her rent. She had to wait tables. And I could not believe that. And I took her by the shoulders, I remember, and I said, if you don't go on this audition, then you're a waitress and you're not an actress. I was so scared of something like that happening to me where I would have to give up what I wanted to do and give up opportunities to do what I wanted because I couldn't finance my life. It was that day that I went home and I was like, look, I need a good job that's going to give me flexibility. I'm going to be able to do it on my own hours and make good money so that I can do what I want to do. It was really just that moment that I started searching.
Yeah. And tell me what you found.
I did an online search for good work from home jobs, and that's when I discovered Proofread Anywhere. And I read about, transcript proofreading for court reporters. Something in it just felt right. And I just had like a gut instinct about it that this was exactly what I needed to do. So I purchased the course and I finished it in a couple of months and I launched the business. And, here we are. I made $3,200 in my first month part-time hours, which was, it was surreal when that first month happened. And it was just everything that I had wanted, everything that I had needed to achieve my dreams, essentially. What I didn't expect was that I would actually fall in love with entrepreneurship, with the creation and running of a business, which ended up becoming greater than my passion for theater and film. So that was even more lucky because I discovered what my real passion was.
Isn't that funny? So I love the theme. One of the themes we have for Work at Home Heroes, Work at Home School, Fruitfully Anywhere, everything that I've ever touched, one of the themes is always, it starts with one thing, going a mile deep instead of a mile wide and doing the one thing and starting there and not even knowing really whether that's going to be your passion. I would not look back and say I was ever put on earth to be a proofreader, and that's it. Like, but I started there because that's what I was naturally good at, and it creates this ripple effect. I doubled down, I niched down, I had the guts to niche down, and so did you, to go into something that felt right and felt like it was a natural next step, and didn't worry about whether or not that was the thing I was going to do for the rest of my life. Some people spend their entire times waiting for that thing that they're super passionate about, that thing they fall in love with. And you just had this gut instinct that that was what we were supposed to do. And then from there, it grew, and you caught the bug, you caught the realization that if you could start this business, if you could learn this skill and make money, what else could you learn? And how else could you grow as a person using your skills? How could you grow your income? So we talked just briefly, your first month, you said you made $3,200 in your first month working part-time hours. And we've covered that on the Proofread Anywhere blog. I think you've been featured on several other pretty big blogs about your story as well. So what about now? What kind of income are you generating each month working at home now?
I'm making about $3,700 a month part-time right now. Part of that, a small part of that is, a small part of it is still proofreading, just because I still like it, and I'm sentimental about my clients, and I don't want to let it go. And on top of that, I get a lot of questions about it, so I don't want to ever lose touch with the industry. The majority of it is coming from coaching. The clients that I coach, the millennials, in groups or individually, and the other part is just revenue from the blog itself.
Cool. And how do you, there's probably people out there wondering, how do you make revenue from a blog?
There's a few ways you can have ads on your blog. I don't actually have ads on my blog, but I know that my mentor does. You could have affiliate commission, which is something that I do. So if I write an article about a book that I really loved, and someone reads my article and then decides to buy the book, the publisher might give me a commission for that. So that's affiliate revenue, and that is an income stream that I use. And another way is to create, your own online product, like an ebook or an online course, and sell it like that, which is, a plan that I have in the future, but not now.
Yeah, so people hear about doing those kinds of things and they don't really consider it blogging, but that's exactly what it is. I know I was blogging on Proofread Anywhere for the first year before I ever considered myself a blogger, because I'm like, well, I'm not really, doing what other bloggers are doing. But then I started doing some more research on, doing affiliate marketing, and it was about 8 months in that I started doing affiliate marketing myself. And then I was really scared to do it because I had this proofreading blog. And I was like, nobody's going to want to hear about anything other than proofreading. Boy, was I wrong. And it all has snowballed since then. I've made so many friends with other people who have online courses and started helping people find their fit. And that's how this came to be, Work at Home Heroes. And then, of course, Work at Home School, how that came to be as well. Just listening to what people need help with. And it sounds like that's what you're doing as well, and helping people coach. You get a lot of questions. Probably you get a lot of questions about proofreading, probably wondering, hey, is it legit? Do I really need to, take the course? Can you teach me for less? Like that kind of stuff. Is that what happens?
That is exactly what happens. Yes.
And how do you respond to that? I'm just curious.
I tell them the honest truth that proofreading transcripts for court reporters is unlike proofreading for other industries. And if you do not get training, you are going to fail, and you're going to make your clients very angry. You're going to lose all your clients. And I stress the importance of investing in knowledge. If you're going to work from home, a lot of people have done it before you, failed at it, done it right, and they're sharing their knowledge as to how to do it right. So why not just invest the money and get it right from the get-go? It's going to save money in the future. If I hadn't taken the Proofread Anywhere course, I would not have been a successful transcript proofreader, even though I'd done general proofreading for fun, just for free, for friends and things like that. But it's just a completely different world, and you have to invest in training because that's an investment in yourself, essentially.
Yeah, and what I've found, and especially in your case, is that the investment completely pays for itself for you, it more than paid for itself. You were already profitable in your first month, which is really cool. I think there's an error in the work at home world, especially, and as part of my mission is to rectify that you pay for this course and then you're automatically entitled to make money immediately. And there's so much junk out there where it's like, hey, pay me money and you'll make money today. And that's not what this is. You're not paying to get a job. You're not paying to be entitled at all. You're paying for education. You're paying for somebody who has gone before you and, for the community and support and the resources and tools to learn a skill that you can use for the rest of your life to generate income. And in your case, you took that skill and then built upon it and have just been growing and growing and growing, which makes me just so happy and so excited. So I want to talk about confidence for a moment. So were you confident from the start when you were finished with the course and getting started with your work at home business? Did you have challenges emotionally or mentally? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I think what it was really is I didn't really allow myself to consider the idea that I might fail. I knew that this had to work. It absolutely had to work, and I would do whatever it took to make it work. I wouldn't even let myself entertain the idea that it wouldn't. As part of that, I invested in the training because I do believe that knowledge creates confidence. And if I was, given all of these tools to succeed, that I would have that confidence to go forward. I was just like, this simply must work and I'll do what it takes to make it work. And that includes investing in myself in terms of training so that I can do this right.
I love that. I love that. You said that you were confident after you had the knowledge. And I think that's I love talking about mistakes, and people who have been listening to the episodes so far have heard me talk about it a lot. A big mistake people make is they expect to have two things before they ever do anything. They expect to have confidence and they expect to have motivation. And they think until they have those things, they can't get started. What makes people think that they deserve, and this is just me thinking out loud, why would you deserve motivation and confidence if you haven't done anything yet? Those are byproducts of taking action. Those are byproducts of investing in yourself and learning new things. And from doing those things, learning, taking action, that's when you get confidence because you get results. You get results, and that's what gives you confidence. But you have to take action despite having fear. So I really love that you mentioned that. So let's talk just a little bit about what your life looks like now. We talked about what your life looked like before. How is your life, your personal life, your emotional life, your own confidence level? We talked about just now, but how's the rest of your life improved since you started working at home?
I mean, everything's just kind of fallen into place for me. I'm always so happy, and I sometimes feel like I should keep it on the down low because everybody's miserable in their jobs around me. But I get up whenever I want to get up, and I work the hours that I want to work. And I know that what I'm doing is good work. I'm at the place where I feel like I'm being paid to do what I love, which was the goal for me. And the freedom that I have means I can, spend it learning other skill sets that I'm interested in, spending time with my family. And the freedom to do that really that's what means everything to me.
I love that. So it's not just about the money, it's about the freedom. And people think that they want money and they think that's what they want. You ask somebody what they want, and that you have to ask why. Why do you want money? And you nailed it. You said you want the freedom, and that's really what it's about. It's not the money itself that we want. It's what we can do with the money, and that's create freedom for ourselves. And money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy freedom, and that's exactly what you've been able to do. And if we look at money as a scarce resource, then it's always going to be our main focus. But if we look at money as a tool that we have the ability to generate as much of as we want using our skills, taking responsibility is what it comes down to, then that just changes the game. But I think, again, another big mistake that people have is the scarcity mindset that there's a limited amount of money in the world, but the reality is that there's a limited amount of time. So how are you going to spend that time is always a question that I like to ask. So we were talking about how people in your community are miserable with their job. So what I want to ask you is, during your journey as you were building your business, did you have to deal with any kind of unsolicited feedback, negative feedback from any friends or family?
Yeah, I think for the most part, everybody was supportive, but with that kind of reluctant support that says, yes, I encourage you to do whatever it is you want to do, but have a really solid corporate 9-to-5 backup plan for when you realize this is a fad that won't really be sustainable. That's just really just born of people not knowing what internet jobs have become. So they were supportive, but they didn't really believe in the job itself. They believed in me, but they didn't think that the job was something that I could sustain and that could keep me going really for the rest of my life. So, and that since I was so new to it, that was something that kind of did creep into my brain. Like, is this something that is sustainable, that I can actually, will this job disappear overnight because it's an internet job, So the more you learn about it, the more you realize this really isn't going away. This is a permanent job. And I think now they've seen it, that it really is it's a great job, and it's new because it's the internet, but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and if anything, I like to consider the internet an ever-expanding universe. It's probably expanding faster than the actual universe. And it's so funny because we crossed paths. I was just getting started with Proofread Anywhere when we crossed paths. You were one of my very first students. And it's so funny to see how we've both grown over the last 3 years. And I had a very similar experience starting out where people thought, hey, you're going to run out of people who are interested in proofreading. There's just that scarcity mindset again, right? So people are like, you're going to run out of people. And so I see it in Proofread Anywhere. I see it in Work at Home School. Like there's a limited number of clients, competition, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is your job security does not come from a corporate job. And the people that doubted me, only knew corporate. They just had no idea that there was this whole online world. And it's not like there was any kind of news broadcast that said, hey, guess what, guys, all the best money can be made online and you don't have to leave your house. Like there's no broadcast that announced that to the world. And so many people don't know about it because we're still kind of subscribing to this, hey, go to high school. Last year of high school, you take your SATs, you go and you get into college and you learn how to do stuff and then you get a job. Like that's exactly what most people still subscribe to, but it's just not necessary anymore. But again, there just wasn't that broadcast that was the thing. And the same thing happened for me as well as did with you, where when you continue to be successful and you continue to grow your business, and after 3 years now, for both of us, people have started to say, hey, okay, well, I get it. Maybe I was wrong. And people have stopped worrying as things continue to grow. And my in-laws told me after 3 years, if you're still on the up and up, we're going to stop worrying. You can do whatever you want. Like, we're not going to say anything negative about it. But they would just have doubts after doubts after doubts and say, that wave's going to crash. Make sure you save everything because it could be gone overnight. And that is just not the way it has happened, because you have so much control. And this is what people don't realize. You have so much control over generating your own income, and that the real job security is not in a corporate position at all. That can be taken away from you at any moment's notice. The real job security is in your skills. So tell me, Adrienne, what does your typical morning routine? I'm sure people are wondering. You mentioned it a little bit. You wake up when you wake up, but what happens after you wake up?
I am a morning person, definitely. I like to go to bed really early. So I do get up naturally, and that's usually around 7. And immediately I check my emails, which I know you're not supposed to do productivity-wise, but it works for me. And right after that, I get up, do some exercise, and then I shower, have my breakfast, and get straight to work, because those are peak productivity hours for me. So I definitely want to take advantage of them. So I work about 4 hours just intensely. Those are like sacred work hours for me, and I work intensely for those 4.
And then what do you do for the rest of the day?
For the rest of the day, it's kind of up in the air. It depends. If I have coaching clients for a little bit, or I'm with my family that time, or friends another time, or it really just depends, whatever's going on. I'm kind of at the whim of my family. When I'm at home, I help my mom with whatever she needs help with. I'm basically available for whatever is needed. I pick up my little brother from school, things like that. It's just whatever the family needs at that time, I'm free to do it.
Well, that's really cool, Adrienne. I think that we have a very similar schedule. I find that my best work days are about 4 hours. I don't like to call it a cram session because that has like a negative connotation, but I find that after about 4 hours of intense work, I hit this wall and I have to take a break. And so I will probably do, I go on my fitness trampoline and I watch Netflix and I just decompress. I might have a glass of wine from time to time, but I've been trying to replace that with activity, like taking a walk with my dog or something like that. I really just love that kind of sweet spot. And I wish I could say it took me just a few minutes to answer my email, but unfortunately I'm at like an hour at least for email during the day. But we're working on that. It's just, not a bad problem to have. People want to get in touch with me for various things, so I'm not complaining. But I really identify with you in getting out of bed in the morning. I usually wake up around 7, between 7 and 8. I've trained myself to not check my emails in bed because then it keeps me from doing my exercise. But yeah, I have a very similar schedule. I like to get in a workout, shower, eat some breakfast, and then I've been making it a point to actually put on clothes, put on some makeup sometimes, just like feel really fresh and clean. And then I start working, and yeah, I go for about 4 hours. So how else do you find balance in your daily life?
I took a really incredible personality diagnostic, which I actually use in my coaching, that helped me articulate what my work life needed to be to keep me motivated and happy. And once that was articulated for me, I just really respected that. Like you said, those 4 hours are the peak for me, so they're sacred. Because if I work more than that, then it starts to feel, it starts to remove that freedom aspect, which was the whole point in the first place. So I have to make sure I'm protecting that, and that I'm giving myself that freedom. So that keeps me motivated because I have it planned, set out already what I'm going to do in those 4 hours. So I'm not kind of spending those 4 hours figuring it out. So because I have a clear plan of what I want to get done, I just simply, now that time has been carved out, I simply get it done. So that's how I keep myself motivated. Is also the idea that once I'm done with these 4 hours, I'm basically free to do, I could keep working if I want, I could do whatever else I wanted to do, but that's the motivation, is I'm ensuring my freedom with these 4 hours. And after these 4 hours are done, I can do essentially whatever else it is that I want to do. So my work-life balance is really good, and I just respect the hours and what I need to get done in them. And I also respect the reason why I do them in the first place.
Yeah, I think that burnout is a real thing. And I want to say maybe the second year, 2016, I was a workaholic. I would probably spend 14, 16 hours a day working on stuff, but it would just put me into this funk of not wanting to work at all for a really long time. And so I think your advice is really good. You're doing this for the freedom and not for the money, and it can come back to bite you. It's kind of like if you just try to do it all at once, then it will burn you out and you'll be less productive than if you break it up into small chunks. It's like the story of the 20-mile march. And we don't have time to go into the whole story, but Google, if you're listening and you're interested, Google the 20-mile march story and you will get to see what I mean by that. But it'll just hit home with what we just talked about. So what is next for you, Adrienne? Are you happy with where you are? Are you wanting to grow your income, grow your business more? What's next?
I really like that question because I see, that there are three kinds of people: the ones who just want to supplement their income on the side, the others who just want a stable full-time income from home, and the others who just want to just grow and keep growing and just take it to wherever it's going to take them. And that's me. So I'm never planning on not growing. I'm happy with where I am, but I'm also not happy just halting my growth systems. So I'm just going to keep growing if that's what the blog's going to do. So it's just my personality. So to that end, I continue to invest in training and in coaching and envision what else I could do to make the business successful. I was asked to speak and I realized I really, really liked it. So it's something I'm thinking about doing more of in the future. But as of right now, I'm mainly focused on my coaching clients and helping them and growing that program.
I think that's really cool. And you're right. There is no income ceiling with entrepreneurship. Even if you're working 4 hours a day, the potential of what you could do in those 4 hours is unlimited. And it's very, very true. I mean, my income has continued to grow, but I've not been working anymore because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in control. And I also switched from freelancing to entrepreneurship as well. It's a very natural progression. I think a lot of people will try to skip the whole freelancing thing, but I actually recommend, and that's why I teach what I teach. I teach people to start with freelancing, start with a skill, because you're going to need those skills anyway. So you might as well use them to make money and then use that to finance the rest of your growth, which is exactly what you're doing. And I just cannot wait to see where you go as you can continue to invest in yourself, taking courses and things like that. I just can't wait to see what happens for you. So my last question is, what advice would you give to someone who wants to work at home, but is sitting there right now, listening to your story, but is still scared to get started? What would you say to those people?
I would say, one, congratulations for thinking about working from home, because it's a wonderful thing, but definitely take your time. Don't rush into the decision. Just take your time and do your research. And you have to really know what's going to make you happy and motivated. Then compare that to what the job is going to require of you and see how that comes together. So if you want, book a call with somebody who knows what they're doing in that industry and ask them questions. Research, read articles everywhere about it. Take baby steps. I really like what you said earlier in the podcast where, your dream job doesn't necessarily fall into your lap, but may happen as a result of other steps that you take just moving forward. So I would say, if you're just waiting for this dream job to happen, sometimes you just have to start taking steps toward it, and eventually it'll show up, or you'll be able to create it as a result of those steps that you take. So also just make the investment, because it's going to take an investment of your money, which shouldn't be too much. Your emotions, definitely. It'll take a lot of emotional investment and a time investment. Even if you want to do this part-time, that's fine. but you're going to have to take some time to do it. So I would say, keep all of that in mind and just take it slowly, but definitely start moving.
Yeah. That's a really, really good point, to take it slowly, but you've got to start moving. I think that there is a big misconception that, you have to have that motivation, you have to have that confidence, and you have to have some momentum, but you don't get any of those things until you start moving. Just by the very definition of momentum, it requires movement. And so if you're waiting for momentum, waiting for traction, waiting for something to take hold when you haven't done anything yet, it's just not going to happen. By definition, it's physics. I'm not making this stuff up, not blowing smoke, nothing. You have to start moving to create traction and momentum in your business. Well, Adrienne, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an amazing conversation, and I'm so excited to see what happens in your life as you continue to grow and invest in yourself. And where can people reach you if they have questions?
Fruitfullyalive.com is my blog. I also have a resource to help people get started. So that's just fruitfullyalive.com/podcast, and they can get a workbook there that I've created for them. But they can definitely contact me through my blog.
Very, very cool. I hope that the people that have questions, follow-ups from this interview, I wish we could talk for hours if we could, but if you want to learn more from Adrienne, head over to fruitfullyalive.com or fruitfullyalive.com/podcast and get the free workbook from Adrienne. Thank you so much for joining us today on Work at Home Heroes, Adrienne.
All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Now, there's going to be links to Adrienne's website and the resources she mentioned right below in the show notes. And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome. Make sure you check out the first episode where we spoke with Caitlin Kuhl. She makes money online teaching English. Lastly, I'd like to invite you to be part of our Facebook community and join in the conversation there. If you're not with us already, it's full of supportive people, many of whom are already on the work at home journey. Ask questions, learn about what other people are doing, get an idea of what might be good for you to start your own work at home journey. Now, if you're already a member of the group, we're going to open up a thread about this episode. Jump in, let us know what you thought. And if you have any questions, we are here to help. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Work at Home Heroes podcast with Caitlin Pyle. Be sure to listen to previous episodes at caitlinpyle.co/podcast. While you're there, read the show notes and check out all the great links and resources mentioned in this episode and more. You can also subscribe to the Work at Home Heroes podcast so you'll automatically be notified when our next episode is available. Remember, as Caitlin says, mo skills means mo money.